My name is Alex, and I'm living and working in Thailand for over 10 years now. That was more by coincidence. So I'm an animal lover since basically I can think. And when I moved into my new apartment, that apartment came with cats. They were not particularly well cared for, but no one minded them. So what I did is I started feeding them. Most of them were already neutered. I said, okay, that's great. I neutered the rest of them and, took care of them. And then I think about 2 or 3 years ago, I noticed in my soil a lot of stray cats. So that they were just popping up here and there, and they didn't look in a good shape, and they were all kind of like aggregating in one area. So I thought, okay, I'm feeding my cats. Let's feed those guys too. And then by starting to feed them and starting to, get to know their environment, I noticed it's a huge problem. So there were a lot of cats and a lot of kittens, and they were not in a good shape. I don't know where they came from. I think some kind people gave them some human food, but it was not a sustainable situation. And what I started with basically is the ones that got friendly to me. I said, okay, I'll pick you up. I get you vaccinated and I get you neutered and I return you. That's basically how it all started. So, and my first cat's name is Spotty. And he's still there and he's still very cute. So I think in an environment like this, TNR is absolutely vital. You have to do it because unfortunately in Thailand you don't really have, you have laws regarding ownership of cats and dogs. However, there are no rules, there's no registry, no microchipping. So the problem is, since also the climate is nice and cats are finding food everywhere in the trash cans or rats or birds, if you don't control them, they explode. A female cat can start to get pregnant as young as 6 months old, and then they can have, within a year, I think 3 or 4 litters of cats. So you just do the math. So if you're not controlling that, this gets out of control. Plus, it comes with a hell lot of suffering, right? Because, those cats get pregnant, they have the babies, some die during delivery, some of the babies are dying. The male cats, if they're not fixed, they're fighting because they're extremely territorial. Of course, in a perfect world, we would all want to catch them and adopt them and find them nice homes, but that's just not realistic. So I think TNR is the only way to control the population, which will benefit the cats, right? Because cats that are not having babies, male cats that are not fighting are just healthier. You just have a stable population that is not getting out of control. And at the same time, it's also benefiting the environment around it, because something that I'm noticing and by talking to other people, those cats are perceived as a huge nuisance, right? Because they are there, they're peeing there, they're pooping there, they're crying, and then people get annoyed. And then people doing, stupid or partly even forbidden things to get rid of them. So I think if you control this situation with TNR, that's the only way to get a handle on this street cat problem. And then what I think you should be doing on top of it, if you have the resources, is adding vaccination, because then that prevents them from getting sick. And then if you go one step further, you need feeders who make sure that this particular colony is fed, and then also kind of like seeing problems or issues with it. So it's a whole, it's not only the TNR. So the TNR is the core, basically the start, but then around it, in order to maintain a healthy environment for the cats and for the humans, you need more steps. You need vaccination, you need feeders, you need someone who is kind of like having an eye on them and to say, okay, that cat has a problem, or there's a new unneutered cat, so that you can control that. So it's a big problem that has a solution that is not very easy and not very clear-cut. It's probably a misconception, because what I encountered during just my limited small experience is that people said, but you feed them. They come here because of you. And I said, no, they were here before me. They were going through your rubbish. They were in bad shape. They had diseases. but they were here, right? So what I'm doing is I'm basically making sure that they are here, but they are healthy and that no more are coming in. Because I had people suggest, oh, I just want to kill them, then they're all gone, right? And I said, apart from the fact that this is illegal, that's not solving your problem, because there is something like a vacuum effect. So if you remove, let's say you would remove all of them, yeah, there would for a month or two, there would be less, but the food sources are still here, right? You know, you still have the garbage cans, you still have the restaurant, and new cats will come in, and then you will have this problem starting again, and you will again have, you know, deceased cats and cats that are sick and cats that are not neutered. While the advantage, if you have a TNR, you have a stable colony. So because cats are territorial, there will not more cats coming in. I mean, there might be one or two that might be accepted or not, but once a colony or even two cats are occupying a territory, that's it. It's all about making room for them, right? In a way that it is addressing their needs, but that is also addressing the needs about the people around them. So, and I think that's the biggest thing. People say, yeah, but you feed them. They're just here because of you. And that's really not true. I mean, look around. I mean, they are there. They are everywhere if people are feeding them or not. But if you have responsible people feeding them and doing TNR, you have a healthy colony that is not spreading any diseases and that's stable. That it's not like, oh, it's the crazy cat lady that runs around and, you know, so also there are rules to feeding, right? You don't do free feeding. You just don't dump a bunch of food. You just make sure that you have the appropriate amount of food for the appropriate amount of cats, and that's it. So that way, no rats, no pigeons coming in to eat the leftover. So it's a science in itself if you do it right. So how I started trap-and-neutering is basically me running around with a cat carrier and some cat food and getting the friendly cats to go in there. So that's how I started. That worked fine for a good amount of cats that trusted me, but then that's not working okay for, you know, the ones that are more feral, that are not trusting me, because you can't get every cat to trust you, right? Every cat is very different. So that was one personal challenge for me, and I didn't know that when I started, because I just started because I wanted to help them. But then I'm still ending up with a situation where I have, let's say, half of the colony neutered and friendly. The other half of the colony is not neutered and not that friendly. So how do we get those guys, right? So, and that's when I started to reach out, you know, mainly through Facebook, to find like-minded people that doing that for longer, that having more experience, that can help me with how to do that. And that's where I'm working right now, because at some point you need help. If the problem is too big, you as a single person and as someone who has a basic understanding about it, but is not, I mean, I'm not going anywhere near a feral cat. I tried it and I paid the price. I ended up in the hospital and got bitten badly. It was not the cat's fault, it's my fault, because it's almost never the animal's fault. Always the human, because you're not reading cues right. That's a big challenge if you start like me, like, oh yeah, let's just see, we help them, and then you just say, oh my God, this is a huge problem, what am I doing now about it? The other problems are humans in general, because not many people understand it. For them, cats are a nuisance, right? And if they see you feeding them, what I just said before, it's just like, why are you doing that? You know, they're dirty. Many people ask, why are you doing that? What are you getting out of it? And I said, nothing, I'm helping them. And it makes me happy that they are happy, or as happy as they can be in this situation. And then it's really those threats from humans, right? To say, okay, even though no one did this, I said, no, but I could kill them all. Or then you have people throwing stones at them. I just want to go and yell at those people. But then you also need community engagement, right? So it's really like interacting with the people around to just make them understand what we're doing here actually, and that we're not trying to harm anyone. So we are just really trying to help the cats, and then in an extension also help the community there. let me start with the challenge because there are many heartbreaking moments, right? Because they are cats you can't help, cats that that you just find dead because they were run over by a car. There are threats, from the outside, mainly from humans. There are, at the moment, I'm feeding my cats at a place where I'm not sure how long can I feed them there. So, so there's a lot of uncertainty. Some of my initial, I call them my group of 10, which are the one that I picked up and neutered. So 2 of them, Patty and Athena, they just disappeared at some point. And you don't know what's happening, right? You kind of you go around, they never came back. So that's the heartbreak you need to deal with. But then you have moments, the best moments was Joe. He's the Burmese and he looked awful. I have a picture of him before and after. He looked awful. We just thought he's going to die, but he didn't. And he made it, and he is a stunning cat right now. He looks gorgeous. He has a new home, and I'm still in touch with his new dad and his new mom, and they occasionally sending me pictures. And actually just today I got a text from them and said, hey, we're going on vacation. Do you mind maybe babysitting Joe for a week or so? So it's those moments that kind of make your day, right? Or all the other adoption stories, right? So, one of my cats just went to a lady down the road and she invites me over all the time just to see them being in a new home. That's all worth it. And again, that's going away from the TNR, but that's really this okay, TNR is the center, but then you have kittens, right? You can't neuter them yet. You can't return them yet. So what I'm trying is I try to find them homes. Then you have the occasional sick cat, like Joe, for example. You can't put him back there, right? By the time he has recovered, he's so used to people that you can't put him back there. Or Teddy, another really great story. He's really cute. I picked him up as a kitten. He got hit by a car. He had a shattered pelvis and a fractured femur. So, and the doctor was saying, okay, I don't know what to do. And I said, okay, he's a kitten. Let's see what we can do. So we got him an operation at Chula, and it took him some time to recover. But now he has a great family, and his mom just sent me a picture of him, and he's really big now and really happy. And that's kind of what makes it worth it to do. My advice, and I just got that advice yesterday, and I'm trying to follow it. Get help. Reach out, because, and I didn't know that, but I was reading up on it. There's something, it's called caregiver's fatigue. So it's really you have great successes and, great rescues, and then you have days or weeks where you just think, why am I doing this? It's never ending. And it's really important to talk to people that do the same thing, maybe also try to engage more in that community to get help. I think if I would have known that this is getting that big, I would have done that earlier, because I'm doing this for over 2 years now, and I think I probably should have started this reaching out earlier, because it's really tiring, especially if you do it next to another job, and if you're doing it alone with, again, I'm not doing it entirely alone, because the vet I'm working with several vets now, but I think the moment it gets bigger and you really recognize how big the problem is, you need a network. You need to start working on a network, which is what I'm trying to do right now. My thing is just, respect those street cats, right? Because it's not their fault that they are in this situation, right? They did not choose this. They're just trying to survive. And I'm also understanding that not everyone can or want to do what I'm doing or what other one's doing. But I think one thing is, at least don't harm them, right? So that's the minimum. Or if you have an issue, just reach out. There's mainly, I think, private NGOs or private, organizations that can try to help you. I think, and the same is also for soy dogs, right? I mean, even though we don't have that problem in Bangkok in this area as much, but it's the same thing. They're living beings and we just need to respect them.